So then, when you look at the amount of biography there is of the most famous person alive at the time of Jesus, namely the Roman emperor, we find out there's at least as much biography of Jesus. And that's one of the things that's so astounding. Jesus was not from the elite background. He came from Nazareth. He's not someone who, in terms of the Roman political structure, was an important person. But the fact that we have as many records of his life as we have of the Roman emperor at the time is really astounding. So when people say, where's the evidence for Jesus? The answer is there's actually an abundance of evidence. And look at this simple question. Do they know what they're writing about? Are they familiar with the material that they're seeking to write about? So the first test we can do is the test of geography. Another test we can run is actually personal names. What are the characters in the Gospels called? So think about this. If the Gospels have correctly got the thing that's the hardest thing to remember, namely the names, isn't there every reason to think they can get the stories right? Because names are far harder to remember than stories. And so if we've got the correct pattern of names, not just individual names, but their relative proportion in the Gospels, to me that's showing that the Gospel stories are coming to us at a very early stage in transmission, very early stage. Another area we can test the knowledge of the Gospel writers is with the tax system. They mentioned tax a number of times, and that's the sort of familiarity that the Gospel writers are regularly showing. And we can also look at the language question, and we can say the Gospel writers show knowledge of language. And this is the sort of thing which a Gospel writer is not going to be able to make up unless they've actually been to the land or had detailed conversation with someone in the land and said exactly what did they say and how do you spell it? Because otherwise, how else are they going to be able to know this sort of language? And so you realize all of these things come together to show you that the Gospel writers at least had enough knowledge to get the story right. That doesn't prove that they got everything right, but they had enough knowledge to. They were close enough to things to be able to do that. If the Gospels came about from a conspiracy theory or from incompetent retelling, the pattern of what we have in the Gospels now is not what you would get. So all of these things come together to show us that the Gospels were not written over a very long period of time as a result of a very complex transmission. That wouldn't explain the data. All of these come together and show us that it's highly rational to trust the Gospels.